Hello, this is Uncle Russ coming to you once again this week with Uncle Russ's Comic Top. Today we're going to talk about some comic books that we have for sale at Lot 22 Sellers on eBay, and also talking a little bit more about comic book collecting. This week I'm going to be featuring comic book titles featuring the literary creation of Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian. These are all published by Marvel Comics back in the early 1980s. Starting off here with Conan the Barbarian, issue number 148, featuring the creative team of writer Bruce Jones, pencils by Big John Buscema, and inks by Ernie Chan. These usually contain self-contained stories. They're a little bit less violent, a little less gory, and a little bit less sexualized than the Robert E. Howard novels, but they're good, rousing adventure stories. They had to conform to the Comics Code Authority. This is issue 148. It could be yours this week for $3.99. Next up, the very next issue of Conan the Barbarian, issue number 149, containing a self-contained story by the same creative team of Bruce Jones, John Buscema, and Ernie Chan from 1983. This could be yours for $4.99. And with issue number 20, King Conan was retitled Conan the King. This is issue number 27, featuring the creative team of Alan Zelenitz as writer, Mark Silvestri on artwork, and a beautiful cover by Mike Kaluta, one of my favorite artists, very highly regarded, an absolutely gorgeous cover. This can be yours today for only $4.99. Right, next up this week, Conan the King, issue number 44. One of the, in the latter numbers of this title, our creative team was Ron Krar as writer, and Mike Docherty on pencils, and Fraja Betor as inker. These had a continuing, ongoing storylines, quite an interesting saga going on here in issue number 44. This one could be yours today for $4.99. Moving on just a little bit later in the 1980s, this one from 1988 with a continuing storyline in Conan the King, issue number 45. This one featured the same creative team that I mentioned partly, Don Krar and Mike Docherty, with Fraja Bator on inks. This one is a steal, specially priced this week for only $3.99. And our last issue this week, Conan the King, issue number 46, featuring the same creative team. This was when Tom DeFalco was editor-in-chief at Marvel, and the Conan titles were very good sellers. In just recent years, they've reprinted those. Many of you know that Marvel just recently lost the rights to print Conan the Barbarian. They've been transferred to Titan Publishing in England, and much of this material, if not all of it, will eventually be reprinted once again. However, those of you that like to collect the original single issues, this is yours this week, a bargain at only $4.99. Hi, I'm Uncle Russ. You can catch Lot 22's professional wrestling program, Two Marks and a Spark. New episodes every Sunday featuring myself and Ben Shrewsbury. I'm going to talk to you this week about some unusual sized comic books. I've always been fascinated by comic books that fall outside of the norm of the normal size that we're used to. Very small comic books, or in this case, very large ones. These books are not for sale at this time. Back in the day, mainly in the 1970s, both Marvel and DC began publishing these, what they were called treasury editions, much larger than your regular comic book, sort of a tabloid size. These featured expanded artwork. This is a beautifully done one with Conan the Barbarian, featuring Marvel's very first artist on Conan the Barbarian, Barry Windsor Smith. One of the interesting things about this series and about the artwork of Barry Windsor Smith, and it was the first time that I can ever remember that male chests were actually drawn with nipples. Anatomically correct, you know. Apparently before Conan the Barbarian and Barry Smith, males in comic books did not have nipples. But it's good to know that they did. Another example of this is this Marvel Treasury edition featuring Doctor Strange, the master of the mystic arts. Very nicely done, oversized artwork on the back. In good condition, these are worth quite a bit of money today. I've seen them go as high as 40, 50 bucks. Hulk on the rampage. These featured reprints of classic material, as well as occasionally featuring brand new material as well. This one right here, Marvel Treasury Edition #1, featuring the spectacular Spider-Man. One of the things that's interesting about this is that it reprints a story in which possibly the only time that Jack Kirby actually illustrated Spider-Man. Pencils by Jack Kirby, inks by Steve Ditko. He may have done it more than once. I believe it was only on one occasion. And it's interesting to see his slightly different take on Spider-Man once we're used to the Steve Ditko style. Now today, we also have large-size comic books. Marvel, in particular, publishes quite a few of these. This is one from my collection. Reprinting a mini-series, Amazing Fantasy. These are soft cover. They're called Treasury Editions. This reprints a mini-series in which Marvel superheroes were reimagined as fantasy characters. Here you have Captain America, Spider-Man. This was by Carrie Kyle Andrews, a science fiction and fantasy-based series. This one slipped under the radar of a lot of people, but had a lot of very, very interesting artwork and a fascinating story. It's one of my favorite ones that I wanted to pick up. Another just recently published by Marvel, Elektra. Those of you that know the Daredevil series know about Elektra, probably the most brutal assassin in the Marvel Universe. This one is oversized reprint of a miniseries, Black, White, and Blood. The only color palette being used is black and white, and lots of red for very bloody, gory action. This one actually belongs to my wife, Barb. She really loves the extremely violent comic books. As you can see, there's no shortage of extremely violent, gory action, you know. I'll give her credit. You know, she's a sweet and gentle soul, but when it comes to her fantasy fiction, she really goes for the jugular. Those are the Treasury editions. Now, the oversized hardback editions are called Gallery editions. This one being a reprint of a classic miniseries, many consider to be the first miniseries by Marvel Comics, Marvel Superheroes Contest of Champions. It predated the Secret Wars by a few years. This was a really interesting, fascinating miniseries featuring all of your classic Marvel characters, Fantastic Four, Avengers, the X-Men, and some very, very somewhat now dated international heroes, but were not mean-spirited or bigoted. They were well-meaning. Nowadays would be considered slightly prejudiced, but I really enjoy seeing the oversized restoration, excuse me, of these panel pages. These are beautifully done. The Treasury editions usually run around 30, 35 bucks. The hardcover gallery editions usually around $40 to $45. Well worth your time if you're interested in oversized format for comic books. Also want to mention that if you wish to purchase any of the books or any other material on our Lot 22 Sellers site on eBay, send us an email if you would like to buy multiple items, and we would be more than happy to give you a good deal for saving money on shipping. If you want to buy multiple items, we can give you a special price. Just let us know what you're interested in. Contact us, and we will look forward to seeing you soon. Uncle Russ saying goodbye. Hopefully you found something that you liked today. If you'd like to purchase any of these books, check for the links in the description below. There'll be more books for sale every week. Lot 22 Sellers on eBay. Lot 22, have a good day. Luck.